Tell me a little bit about like what you guys teach and why you want to use Skype. Or I mean, Mystery Skype.
Well, I use Google Hangout at the beginning of the year for the Purnell Rep reading thing in the fall.
Okay.
I don't remember what that's called.
Yeah.
Where you buddy up with another classroom.
Okay.
And so anyway, and I had never used Google Hangout before, so I was just looking for another way to connect with other classrooms because I saw the value of getting outside the classroom, and it was so easy.
What grade?
First and second grade.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And we buddied up with somebody in Vermont.
Oh, okay. How about you?
I teach 5th grade social studies.
Oh, kind of fits right there, doesn't it?
I teach 4th grade, and it was suggested we try this, but they thought it would fit in well with our social studies too.
I teach 4th grade. For the same reason, thought it fit in good with social studies and science. And
Okay. Yeah.
I'm 3rd grade, and I have an account set up, and we were supposed to start a while ago, but things came up.
Yeah, exactly.
My kids are kind of prepared for it. We were doing like 20 questions.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
We haven't actually gotten with a class yet.
Okay. Well, I guess you guys have maybe a little more background than I do in it, but I've done a little bit of research on it, and I thought what was interesting to me is before the call, I wrote some things up for students and teachers to do, but I really thought this was interesting. The research, the region, state, city facts. I feel like we all do that. You know, we all need to know. You know, especially in the 4th grade curriculum. The Iowa's facts, Iowa's, the bird and the flag and all that kind of stuff. We need to know that, but it's kind of just a memorization thing, and they never really see why they need to know that kind of stuff. And so, being given the authentic audience, I think that this is the kind of stuff that they'll see why they need to know it. Because when they're meeting people, no longer are they just meeting people in their school. They're meeting people from, all over. I think all over the globe, and so knowing that not knowing those facts and knowing those the differences, like just I don't know how egocentric they still are, but just realizing that other people have other other favorite things, other weather, other climates, other regions, and stuff like that, and other terrain, I think is kind of what I think our students need to realize more and more, because they're not more likely not going to stay forever in one place where it's only Iowa and they've never seen, the mountains they've never seen. And also understand that some people have never seen snow. It's like trying to get that other perspective kind of thing. I watched a video of a mystery Skype with some kids in Hawaii, and they had them look out the window, and they saw the snow, and the faces of those kids in Hawaii who had never seen snow. It was just amazing, because she ended up turning the camera around and wow, but they probably have seen it in videos and stuff, so I don't know how different that was unless they had already made the connection to those students, and then they looked out the window and wow. So yeah, definitely researching those things, and then the last thing they have to do is accept a job. And so, were you guys very familiar with the mystery Skype jobs? Well, I felt that these were almost everything that I had looked through. They all said they have to have jobs, and it really makes sense. So the first job is the greeter, and I kind of put the greeter as the closer and the opener. And so, is there anybody who would like to be? When we do a mystery Skype, we need someone to sign up for all these. So if you want to put your name here on the right actually, I can be the greeter because it probably makes more sense. So I can be the greeter. And so that's just one person in the front of the screen that says, hello, kind of thing, welcome to this mystery Skype. So I feel like when you designate jobs, it makes it a lot more efficient of a phone call. Otherwise, you have a bunch of, heads and a bunch of kids trying to get in front of the screen and let me see me, and I want to talk. So being able to designate those jobs. The next one is the questioner. And so that person, after I guess in the beginning, or before the call, you're going to write some questions. But that questioner was one or two students that are actually going to be the ones asking the questions. And that way, you can always make sure the camera is on them, and you can make sure they know how to pronounce the questions. They can even rehearse them. Most of the people who've done mystery Skypes that I've read about, they've practiced them a couple days. They've practiced asking those questions and stuff. So, and I'm sure that's one of those things that in the beginning they practice a lot, but then after you've done a few, But they do say that they fluctuate, or they change the jobs a lot, and like they get to the kids and they actually have to not advertise, but ask for the job. They have to like interview for the job. I want to be the questioner because of that. So you can take it, you know, as further as you want. But I like, you know, in some of them I don't do very well in front of the camera, so I'm going to be in the think tank instead. And so they kind of realize their strengths, but the teacher obviously pushes them to do more than maybe outside their comfort zone a little bit. Then there's one student who's can someone sign up as the questioner? And that person will just be the one asking the question. Okay, you can put your name there. Yep. And then the answer, that's one or two students. That's and I've seen that a couple different ways, but that one I thought just one student says yes or no. That way you don't have, well, no, that's not, no, yes, it is, you know, and like kind of arguing. Then you have the think tank that kind of comes together and then like decides on the answer together, and then that's like one person who reports out, like, yes, that's the answer, or no, that's not the answer, or yes or no. So we need the...
I can't type in the doc. Do you have it as
Oh, do I? Oh, I have can view. There we go. There you go. You should be able to refresh and have it. So we need a questioner and an answer. And then we need a lead thinker. And I haven't, not everyone had this, but I thought it was important because like the rest of your students are all in the think tank. And so you need someone to kind of like lead that group because they can kind of maybe get antsy and kind of get like thrown off in all different kinds of directions. So you have a lead of the think tank. Okay, this is the question. This is the answer. So you have someone like a group facilitator for that think tank. And the greeter, and some of these things, like especially the greeter, maybe not the other ones, but after their job is done, they go back to the think tank. So it's not like they are just done for the time. So that think tank is all those students who didn't have a job or their job is over kind of thing. So you need one lead thinker. And we probably won't have a lead because we're such a small group. So the lead thinker and the think tank will probably be all of us. Are you still not? Are you still?
I can't because you're in the box.
Oh, there you go. And then we need a filter. These kids are the filter between the runners and the questioners. So say you have a bunch of the think tanks over here, and the questioners or the answers are probably usually right in the front because they need to be in the front of the camera. And so they're the filter is the person that goes from the think tank back to the questions and answers, back to like we have a Google Maps and a Google Atlas people. So they're pretty much the runner between all the different jobs, I guess. And so I've seen that being called lots of other things, but that's the one that they're the filter, which will probably be all of us because we're in a small group. So we'll probably all be these three of us. Google Mappers. That's actually there's two students that have Google Earth up and then like also Google Maps. And so they can look at the different geography points. If someone says, we touch this river, then they're going to go find this. Or the question is, do you touch the Mississippi River? Yes, we do. So then they're going to go through and find out what, like X amount or shade them, the states that. So they're kind of like the people who look at the Google Maps and the Google Earth and try to figure out exactly maybe even the answers to the questions or some more questions to ask. Okay, you touch the Mississippi River. Do you touch this state also? Or are you on the left or are you on the east or on the west? So that's kind of, the Google Mappers have Google Earth and Google Maps up on their computer screens. Which really we can have all of us do that too, I guess, if we want. And the other one is World Map and Atlas. I put that as optional because not everyone has those things in their room. But it might be helpful just even if the Google Mappers have those things. I think those are still skills that we probably need to at least acknowledge. And so you still have some, and depending on where you're mystery Skyping also, if it's across the country, it might be helpful to, or across the continent or world, it might be helpful to have a map just so you actually can see the distance and maybe why it's dark and maybe why it's cold kind of thing. So that's kind of, I think, is an optional. The note taker, that's someone who is usually on the Google Doc where you guys have shared like all your questions, and so the note taker is just keeping those questions. So yep, we answered that, and the answer was no. So they're kind of just the note taker. We haven't answered that, or we don't need to answer that anymore, so they'll erase it or they'll cross it off. They might even be writing down the questions that they're asking because most of the time it's a two-way call. You're trying to figure out where they are just as much as they're trying to figure out where you are. And so you'll need to maybe they write down the questions that they're being asked to just generate some more questions. So they're the note taker. So we probably do want to have that one. If someone wants to sign up as the note taker while we're in that call, I can get out of that. The next one is the runner, which I think is a lot like the filter. And they're just kind of around to keep things running. I really don't know exactly the difference between the filter. But there, we don't really need to be a runner because there's not a whole lot of us. The tweeter, I thought this one was really interesting. The first couple examples that I saw of their job list, there was like a photographer, but there wasn't any, and there was no, I changed it to be like a social media person or whatever. But then I saw this one and I thought, you know what, I think the tweeters are really important, especially since most of the teachers who are using Mystery Skype, or even the way you found Mystery Skype was through Twitter, since they even have a hashtag, that especially depending on the age appropriateness, to have a tweeter out as well, so you're tweeting about the experience on Mystery Skype. And so you can choose to do that one, or otherwise you have like a reporter, in which the reporter is just the one taking pictures, and then I'm thinking about, like writing a blog post about it later, or writing a reflection about it later. At least you have pictures of it, and they can reflect back on it and just kind of model effective use of pictures, effective use of reflection, and then also of like social media and sharing your learning. And so if you have those pictures and you have those reporters, it kind of models that safe and appropriate use, I guess. And if no one wants to do that one's fine. But if someone wants to be the tweeter and the reporter, that would be awesome. And the last one is the supervisor, and that one's just kind of the supervisor's everybody. I have seen a couple examples where they have a sign that they hold up in front of the camera, like we're thinking or whatever, or just to hold on, we're kind of having a discussion, or hold up, we're having, kind of, so it's it's in front of the camera, and that way it's kind of it's a little less distracting. And I've seen like some pros and cons, and definitely a lot of them in the pros said you need a signal where you just stop the camera a little bit and maybe either reconvene if it's a little bit too chaotic, or just kind of, I guess there was one about telling a story, so the kid all of a sudden starts, oh, I've been there before, and then like starts rambling on a story, and they just kind of cut, they put a picture, or they put some kind of signal or something in front of the camera, and just acknowledge that, just hold up. Just meeting in progress, but kind of stand by. So that's the supervisor. A link, these have been adapted. There's a couple links, and that is where a lot of the jobs were. There was two different ones, and one that she had used before, and then one that the students had created, and so I kind of was meshing those two together. The next one is some software that you can use. So I know she had said that they use Google Hangout. Has anybody else used Google Hangout before? I think the main plus to Google Hangout is the fact that you could have more than one person in the call. So you can have, a person in California and a person in Florida, and also us all in one call, if there needed to be. With Skype, you can't. You can only go one way. So you can only have one other person in the call. Well, the free version, I guess, you can only have one person in the call. And then the other one is Zoom, and that's free through Heartland. So we're actually going to use Zoom, because I've used that one, and I didn't think that many of you had, so I thought we would just do a little demo on Zoom, unless any of you guys have used Zoom before. So that's what I thought we'd use Zoom today. You guys, how comfortable are you guys with any of those? Comfortable? Not at all?
All.
Okay.
Don't use them. Haven't ever.
Okay.
I don't even tweet,
Okay. Oh, and that's common. I guess then I can show you a little bit about Zoom. For Zoom, oh, hello, we're not quite ready. Just a minute, okay? I don't think my volume's up. Okay. So that is Zoom. Up here? It's a software. And what we did is I just sent out an email, and so it's actually an invite. So in my email it says, oh, I can't do it because I'm already in there. But I just say create an invite, and it automatically goes to my Gmail, and it says this is your phone call, this is your member ID, I think is what it says. Oh, is she gonna show it to you? I don't know what she's doing. Yes, there she is. So that's the email that she got from me. Hi there, you've invited to the Zoom meeting. Join from your PC. So she just has to click on that. The only thing about this is it is software just like Skype. And so some schools, you might want to, you do probably need to test these out first, because some schools and some computers you aren't allowed to download software. So you might want to test this out if you need beforehand. Otherwise, you could also use Google Hangout. And I'm going to show you Google Hangout real quick. Google Hangout is...
So most of the teachers on Mystery Skype are using Skype?
No.
Or no?
Mm-mm. It's a mix of a lot of people.
Okay.
Then Google Hangout is over here. So this is my Gmail chat. Do you guys use Gmail or Outlook? Gmail? Okay. So if I wanted, I think Deb's here, so I'm not going to do it. But this is Deb, and if I wanted to, I clicked on her, and I can just add anybody on there. So I can create a new message. And I can create and find a new person, anybody that's in my list. So right now, I could find Carrie, and I could Google Hangout with her, which I have. So I know Google Hangout works here, too. But if I wanted to Google Hangout Deb, who's here today, I just need to click on this little camera right here, and it automatically pops up.
Google Chat reminds me a lot of texting. Just automatic, type
Yep.
a few words, get a quick response.
And it's the
You're
same.
on your computer.
Yeah, it's the same as instant messaging, but you can have a video call, you can share a screen, you can do all that kind of stuff. So that is that's Zoom, that's Google Hangout, which is it's an addition to Google. Figured she was that. So that was and then I actually don't even think I have Skype, but I can see if I do it real fast. I don't use Skype. So, and actually when I was doing some more research, most of the websites said mystery Skype, and then or mystery call or something, and then down below in little brackets it said AKA mystery Skype or something. So it's not. But then when I did a lot of research on mystery Skype, most of them were using Google Plus or Google Hangout. So they were still calling it mystery Skype, yet they weren't using Skype. I don't know if that makes sense at all.
Yeah,
but
you have to create a Skype account to find teachers.
No.
Unless you're just going to go out on the web.
Yeah.
But that's the easiest way to find teachers is on the Mystery Skype website.
Correct.
And then you have to create a Skype account.
You're right.
It's really easy. It'll just feed you right into it.
And there's a link right here to that Mystery Skype website.
There are other ways to find other classrooms that are interested.
Yeah.
This is by far the easiest way.
And this way, I guess if you're not on Twitter, you can just put the hashtag Mystery Skype, and then people will comment. But I've used Google Connected Classrooms, is what I've used on Google to find people. For some reason that's not working right now. But yes, it's really easy. There's a little Skype. There's 3 little boxes here, to set up your mystery Skype and to tell them when you want to do your mystery Skype, because they talk about the time zones and stuff. internet's not working right now, so we'll come back to that one. So the other thing, the thing I wanted to do before we call in is we wanted to write just a few questions for our mystery Skype person. And the first ones that they kind of say just to find out, like in the U.S., are you in the North America, are you in the United States, and are you east of the Mississippi? So depending on the answers of what she gives to those questions, can you think of any other questions that we can ask her? And then we'll get started with our phone call. Are you what?
On one of the coasts.
Yep. Any other questions we can think about? Otherwise, we could just call in and we can ask questions depending on her answers. Because if she says no, what would we say? What would be our next question? I was going to say, actually, I've seen some people ask that, and they thought unless you are like Hawaii, which would never get snow, it's actually not really good to ask climate questions because it doesn't really give you a whole lot of information. But I mean, my parents are in Las Vegas right now, and there's snow. So, but we'll ask that because I think that and we'll see what she says too about the climate questions because she'll have a little more. This person has done mystery saves before.
Are you in the Northeast?
My kids always get tripped up on that question because they always want to ask that because we like learn directions.
Yeah.
It's kind of like where's the cutoff we talk about. So.
That's a good question, or that's a good point. Yeah.
But my kids always.
Are you in a mountainous region?
Oh, yeah, that would be good.
Regions pretty quickly.
Yes. And that by me, yeah, those are really good questions. One more, and then maybe we can just start from there.
Are we trying to figure out just their state or their city?
Or probably for this person, the city.
Like size of the state, like can we compare? Like, is your state bigger than ours?
Yeah, yeah.
Like land-wise?
Maybe you wouldn't want to, if they're trying to figure out yours, you wouldn't want to put that question in, right?
You're right. Yep. But this person knows where we are.
Maybe ask what's the population of your city?
It has to be yes or no.
Oh, yes or no.
Yep. Well, it doesn't have to be. But most of the time we stick to, and we usually try to stick to 20. I have seen where they've had like mystery Skypes. I don't know what you call it, competition. So it sees you try to find that you're in a phone call with like 3 or 4 different places, and you see who can get their state first. So.
Are you your state's capital city?
Are you in it?
Are you the capital city? Yeah, are you in the capital city?
That's a good one.
Are you in a landlocked state? People on the coast can't figure that question out.
Do you have a professional football team?
There you go. And actually, I'm sure a lot of your students would definitely ask that question. You said basketball, right?
I said football.
Oh, football.
Any sport would work. You can.
In the Midwest, football is more popular, but not everywhere.
All right, do we want to start with these questions?
Sure.
Okay. Does someone want to keep, and we might want to, I hate to have you move, but like right in front so she can see us. But also, does someone want to keep this out? Who wants to ask the questions? I can be the greeter, but did you sign up for the question?
Your question.
Can I ask what this is before we start?
Oh, this is what. Carrie set this up. You guys have access to. Yeah, they're swivels, so they're actually following this thing.
Oh.
So that she's videotaping.
We only have one for the district right now.
right now.
You're
Yep.
gonna get one for each building. But so like when you're taping yourself for AIW,
Do you want me to take notes on the document next to the question?
Yes, please.
and it picks up teacher sound really well, it's just not great for student sound. But unless you're.
Hello?
Hey.
Hey. Oh, I'm gonna
This
turn.
is a little different than we normally do, so I hope I'm ready. Okay.
All right. Good. My job was the greeter, so I was gonna just greet you into the phone call. We have about 5 of us here today, and they have written some questions, and then we have a group of 1st grade, 2nd grade, and then 4th grade social studies. So they're very interested in using Skype, and so yeah. All right. If you want to ask your first question.
Oh, I see. So you wanted me to go closer. Sorry.
That's fine.
Okay. Well, you know she's a city. Oh, okay. Are you in North America?
Yes. Are you in the United States?
Yes.
Right.
That's not my job.
Oh yeah. Who's the answer? Did we?
What's the answer?
I can do both unless only one. Okay.
We'll just hit PGB.
Okay. Are you east of the Mississippi?
No.
So does someone have maybe a Google map up to make sure we know?
So we're west of Mississippi.
Did you ask us a question? Or not?
No.
Oh, okay.
Are you west of the Mississippi?
Yes, we are.
Yeah. I'm like, I know where my home state is, and now where am I? Okay. Yes.
Okay.
Sorry, are you on a coast?
No. Is your state bordered by 2 major rivers?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Yes. You guys need to be answering. I don't have great space knowledge. And she's not on west. She's not on the coast. Should we ask you next time?
If she's on
Wait, Mom. Okay. Are you in a mountainous region?
No. Are you in a rural area?
Yes. Does anyone have a good map up right now? I don't have I only have a broad map. So they're not in mountainous, she's not on the coast. West of Mississippi.
That's where she's west of Missouri.
West of Missouri.
She's west of.
Are you west of the Missouri River?
No.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm not on that website.
So she's in between the 2 rivers too. Yes, yeah.
I didn't know we asked her about that.
No, we
Yeah,
don't have
yeah,
those.
because we already
We
asked.
did, yeah.
She's west of Mississippi.
Right.
So
So,
it's confirmed.
right.
She has questions, doesn't she?
Are you in your state's capital?
No. Are we in the state?
Oh, no.
Okay.
Should I start asking her? Are you
start with the
Is
state.
ILS?
Are you in the state of
That
Iowa?
Are we
Missouri,
supposed to
that's
do that?
Mississippi.
I know some people
Yeah.
want to do that way, but.
You could eventually, you just don't want to say, are you this state, are you this state, or state, but it sounds like you guys have
Close.
already, you've narrowed it down to a few, so you can.
Down to 4.
So do we want to get some state, or should we confirm that it was?
She did say that she was east of,
I was gonna
that she
say,
was
so I don't
not
think we
east of
have
the
to.
Mississippi, and that
So
she
do we want to,
was.
Get them down to 5 states.
should we ask like north of something? So we can narrow it down to half of them? So north of, what do we want to say?
Are you north of
Like St.
Missouri?
Louis.
or-
Yeah, Missouri.
Are you north of Missouri?
Yes.
Missouri.
Yeah,
Sorry,
Are you
I'm
south of-
struggling.
Are you south of Minnesota?
Well, we can see in Iowa.
Yeah.
Oh,
Uh-huh.
she has a question first.
Oh, are you in the state of Iowa?
Yes.
Okay.
I know that one. We're good on that one.
Then you could have that.
Yeah.
it's like
Okay.
that.
Are you in the state of Iowa?
Yes.
Mm.
Hmm.
So that's why I thought the state, you might be a little more.
And then are you in the capital city?
She has a question first. Okay, city is, you guys got this. I can tell you some more.
I think she got it.
I think it's your turn.
Oh, gotcha. Are you in central Iowa?
Yes.
Yeah,
I know that.
That's good.
Are you in the capital city?
No.
You guys know that.
No. Is she alone? Is she alone in Missouri? Something she said Missouri.
Okay, someone,
Her turn.
it's your turn.
Yeah, I gotta think of a question.
Oh, okay, sorry, I just wanted to make sure you knew we were ready.
Um,
Right between
Highway
Highway 30.
would go north,
Yeah.
30 goes
Right between
south.
Highway 30 and Highway 20.
Yeah.
Or Highway,
Between Highway
80.
30 and Highway 20.
Between 35 and between 20 and 80. That's a big area. That's good.
I like your question. Are you near I-35?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, which highway do you want?
That's great. She's near Highway 35.
We don't want to keep
Gotcha.
asking.
No, I want to say, is she along the Missouri? Or I-20?
Are you along the Missouri River?
No.
You could, I guess, another time you could say, are you within an hour of the, whatever.
Of the capital.
Right, or something like that. That would help us narrow it down.
She the DA is down to the...
No, it's not.
I was just
I wouldn't have
thinking
gotten that
eight.
easy.
I thought so too.
Does your town's name often get confused with the state?
Yes.
Oh, she can see that.
I know.
Because
That's
Yeah.
also another thing that they say, like, a lot of times on Skype it tells you where you are, the state,
Yeah.
and you have to make sure you close that. But I knew Zoom didn't have that capability, so. But
And
yeah,
you also have to make sure the kids aren't wearing your school mascot with your school's name. We've had that happen too. Anyway, keep going.
So what were we gonna ask? Are you within an hour of?
Yeah, I was wondering how that would work.
Des Moines? Or?
I'd say a half hour to one.
Are you within a half hour of them?
Hour's big.
Are you within a half hour of Des Moines?
No. I wish.
So if we said like,
You want to say
either west or north or south of 80 or?
Yeah, let's do, yes, divide it that way. North of 80 or south.
Is she gonna look at it? She knows ours. Okay, are you north of 80?
Yes.
And you could say, like, are you
East of 35.
Are you east of 35?
Yes.
I'd say northeast of the state.
Yeah.
To the northeast.
Are you
you north of Highway 20?
Yes.
Oh, that is, you're right.
You could say, does your name have, your city name have 2 words? Or something like that.
That's a good idea.
Does your city name have 2 or more words in it?
No.
Is your city name the same as the Dahl?
What did she say, or did we ask, are you north of Highway 20? She said yes. She said yes. Sorry, I'm trying to keep track, I'm sorry.
Are you, she's east of 35.
East of 35, north of 80, north of 20. One word name.
Down or south?
If that's your neck of the woods.
No, it's not, no.
What are the names up there?
Ask her if there's a college in your town.
Is there a college in your town?
Yes.
Is there a college?
It can be Waverly.
Is she in a town that borders the Mississippi River? That's what I wondered too.
Does your town border the Mississippi River?
No.
I was wondering. Or Cedar Falls, what is the college?
UNI has 2 words. Cedar Falls is 2 words.
Oh, yeah. Good job.
It can be Waverly, it can be Waterloo.
And it doesn't have to be.
Ask me the
community college. Co-college too, is there, what it's called.
Goes to Cedar Rapids. Give it for a city.
Ask her. Ask her. Is there a college? Oh, yes, is there a college?
That's college. Ask her, I think it's Waverly. That's my guess.
Or you can say,
Yeah,
yeah, you
Cedar.
can start with W.
Cedar River.
Or you can Cedar River.
So that goes up through Waterloo too.
Right.
Does the Cedar River go through your town?
Nope.
It's Decorah.
You were learning a lot about Iowa, especially for you for not being around.
I don't know.
Pretty sure they have a.
You're more familiar with that.
I don't go there.
Ask her the
Is there a
Eagles.
big
Ask her the Eagles. They're nesting in her.
Yeah, that's a good one. Ask if there's an eagle
eagle.
nesting.
Eagles, yeah.
Is there an eagle nesting site in your town?
Yes, there is.
Look at that!
Decorah.
It is Decorah. Nicely done. Very nice.
All right, Bev, I know that you've done a lot more mystery Skypes. Do you want to provide maybe some advice, or maybe some? One of them has used Google Hangouts. The rest of them weren't as familiar with it, and so tell us a little bit about maybe the software that you use, since we're using Zoom right now, and maybe some other advice that you wish you would have known before you started at yours.
Yeah. So a lot of times, here, let me share.
What grade do you teach?
I work for Keystone, AEA, but what I do is I have the connected classroom. So we've done over 1,600 mystery Skypes with teachers in my area, just through a project that I moderate. So some of the things over the last 3 years that I've learned, and all of these are on our website too. The first thing was kindergarten through 2nd grade, it really needs to look different. Because you know how what you were doing today, maybe, what we've noticed is that sometimes kids don't have or kindergarten through 2nd grade, they don't have that idea of region or location, things like that. My favorite one was a kindergarten school, and they did pictures of their playground, and they had to tell the story of their playground. So they took their iPads out. They had to have 10 good pictures of their playground, and then they went back and forth to share about them. The school I connected them with was in New York, and so it was interesting for the kids to see what the different playgrounds looked like. So they did a comparison of the two. It was funny because in New York, their playground was on a rooftop, and so when it was fun because one of the kids in the back, he said, well, what if the ball goes over the fence? Do you have to go get it? No, you don't have to go get it. But that's just an example of how kindergarten especially can engage in Mystery Skype too. And then, you know, continuing the partnership between doing shared read alouds. Sometimes they'll do book circles, things like that. But one of the things that we did, we came up with some questions that might relate to the younger grades. So how do we travel to your state? What is the weather typically like? How do you choose one thing that represents your state the best? What would it be? What is the shape of your state? So they really had to do some drawing of pictures, or they could use their iPads to do the same thing. So it just changed it a little bit. So you would go back and forth and kind of share the story, and they have to figure out little bits and pieces about your state. So that's kind of fun. Another one for their upper grades, especially in 4th grade when the core starts talking a lot about regions and areas, the kids actually, the kids would actually go through and create questions based on their town, and then you would share them back and forth. And so it starts global and then narrows it down too. So,
hey Beth, I linked the presentation that you did. I linked it to the bottom of mine. Is there a way that they can get to the website that you were just on by your presentation?
Oh yeah, definitely. Let me go back.
Yeah,
so this is usually what we would share.
So you go all the way to the bottom. It says Brett, or it says Beth's all the way to the bottom.
Yep. And it's on the Keystone site. We also have other connected projects too, but it should be linked here, up here at the very top, Connected Classroom. But you can see, you know, we've been doing this for 3 years now, and the community continues to grow. There's some video examples of how things are being done. It was kind of cool. This one was a math-specific one. Students had to use their math skills to guess the mystery number, connecting with experts. And then I love this one, she pulled in a thinking grid. So the students had a shared reading, and then they had to go through and do the different questions based on the story. And then some did virtual performances too. So readers theater, back and forth. So there's lots of different things that you can do. Group work, here's an example of that. They were doing literature circles in 3rd grade. And this is what it typically looked like in her class, and then how it changed when they had these virtual groups. So lots of different options, and I always like to show, you know, the creativity that people have. And Marisa already talked a little bit about the communities that you can go to. So once you're connected, you can decide what tool is going to work best for you. I have some schools where Google Plus is turned off, so they actually can't do Hangouts in their school's domain. You're lucky to have it open. But Zoom seems to be the one that works the best, because all you do is send a link and you click on it, like she had talked about. And then you can go through and change kind of the questions as you want to, really plan as a pair as you're going through. And, you know, some of them, you know, they start to learn a lot about their towns. I was just going to show some of the questions. Anyway, so you can students learn a lot about their towns just based on the questioning that they can come up with. So,
do you guys have any questions for her?
Some of the communities, now typically, we start out the year with Mystery Skype, and then the teachers can continue to be connected, and that's on our Keystone site. And then it breaks it down to regular Mystery Skype and then K2 because we found a need, and then they can continue with all the other connected classroom activities. But also on Google Plus, there's 2 things. We have our community ourselves. It's called Connected Classroom, and that's linked on the presentation that Marisa has. But there's also one called Connected Classrooms Workshop, and that's the Google Classrooms. And so if you go into them, I'm actually going to go into ours. What we do is we actually vet the teachers to make sure that they are teachers, and then we'll organize as needed. So for example, we just had someone post, we are embarking on our 2nd annual Read Across America. So what this group is, every year they try to get at least 1 classroom from every state. and she has a Google Doc that organizes them. So she has you sign up, and then they do Read Across America with you. So you'll see just not only mystery Skype, and here you'll see Carrie, she's looking for an expert on rainforests, and it looks like she's found some avenues to do that too. So if that's your classroom, good job. Either way, so putting yourself in some of these communities, it works really well for getting those connections, and then if you ever have problems, we of course go through and we'll find some connections too. Usually they're global. You have to decide whether you want to be global or just stick with the actual United States or Canada, those types of things. The other thing that people stumble on is time zones. So we've had lots of mystery Skypes missed because of time zones. So you just really have to be careful to make sure that everybody, when you're talking about with somebody on the East Coast or the West Coast, making sure that when you set up a time, make sure it's within the school day. We just had a school that did a overnight with an Australian school. So this Australian school was in session. Our local school had a sleepover type of thing with her second grade class, so that they could Skype together after they've been blogging together. So, but lots of cool ideas. Skype in the classroom, you do have to use Skype for this one. Skype in the classroom has wonderful resources. If you're looking to reach out, and especially if you're trying to find some different experts in your area, these are already vetted and they know how to talk to students, just within their area. So we've had everyone from oceanographers to authors, and it's really nice how they set them up. You just sign up for a project and then they contact you. So Skype in the classroom is pretty easy too. But does that answer some of your questions? We do have the Global Read Aloud pieces that are coming up again. We have Digital Learning Day that's coming up in a couple weeks, actually. So you'll be seeing a lot more about how to connect your classrooms for those days too. Mystery Skype, like I said, some of them, it depends on how you want to run it. If I could pull up those questions. Sometimes they like to just study their town and go from there, and then share little pieces about it. Like, my town was built on a meteor, so people would have to start figuring out which town was built on a meteorite. But I hope that helps.
What about time? For like your average 20 question, yes, no?
Yeah. So the younger they are, usually we start with 10 questions and go from there.
Okay.
We've had two ways. So some of the schools, they like to give all their questions up front, and then they take time to research.
Live or?
No, okay, so some of them, they'll meet the first time, and they'll say, hi, I'm Berns, and this is, they get to tell one thing about themselves. And then they have to ask one question, or the 10 questions to the other group. And usually teachers will share them on a Google Doc. Then they will step away and have research time, because a lot of teachers allot maybe 20 minutes for a mystery Skype, no more. But it depends on availability of technology too. Most of ours are one-to-one, but in the lower grades, we've been noticing, taking the time to research and step back has been the most beneficial, because then the teacher can talk them through how are you going to answer the questions, because you do have to teach kids how to be on a video conference. They don't just know how to act. And so sometimes a teacher will rehearse, especially that first mystery Skype. They'll actually rehearse it in their classroom with someone, and then they'll go to the class itself. So usually about 20 minutes, and then you can decide how you want that to play out. Usually they'll come back the next day or maybe within an hour, depending on how your classes are set, and then they'll finish up the mystery Skype. And kids get really excited about that too. Does that help?
You don't have a whole lot of people gone on the day of the mystery Skype.
No, there aren't, and that's the fun part.
Yeah. You guys have any other questions for her?
Usually it's the older kids that are more successful in a one-time sitting. The younger they are, we've noticed they need time to prepare and kind of that think time. So that would be my recommendation. If you have kindergarten, first or second grade, give them that think time and practice with them a little bit, because sometimes they like to tell stories. I'm seeing smiling. Yeah. But just let them know that they don't have that time, and so they have to go right to their picture. That's why the pictures have been very nice with them, because they could share their picture, and then you have to move to the next person. And most times we want to make sure that everybody can be heard, and that's why if you watch that video with Alma, that was a lower elementary class, and they did the same thing. The kids rotated through with their questions, and then they got to share a little bit more. So, but lots of different ways to do mystery Skypes too. But I think that the best takeaway is that the kids are excited, and then they want to continue to learn, and they're also practicing communication skills too. Okay, really siphoning that down.
Yeah, speaking and listening, that's for sure.
Yep, and speaking for a true audience, and the neat thing is they want to continue to talk to these people, so it's fun. And if you ever miss a mystery Skype, we've had some where it's on a snow day. Holy cow, do teachers get lots and lots of calls because kids are upset, which is kind of fun. Not the calls, but...
Thank you very much.
Yeah, if you ever need help, let me know, or Marisa know. And Carrie is a rock star at it. She was one of our mystery Skyper facilitators when she was in Old Line, so she's a awesome help. Awesome help. Okay, but
thank you. Have a good Monday.
You too. Thank you for letting me join.
You're welcome.
Okay, bye.
Okay, bye-bye. All right, I'm going to, for the next few minutes, what we're going to do is we're going to look through, you can either look through those resources, but also if you want to maybe set up your Skype or find someone, maybe research some people that you would like to maybe do a mystery Skype. So that way when you leave here today, you would be able to, you know, not today maybe, but like be able to have a mystery Skype. I know we don't all have time in our classrooms to be able to.
Carrie, like when I talked to Carrie, at least I know she was willing to do most of the prep work. So she's like, I mean, I was kind of interested in finding my own classroom to Skype with, but she was willing to kind of figure out what your needs were and do all the technology work with you.
Yeah, and she's available, and I also would be more than happy to do that too. That's kind of our job. Especially with Carrie. You guys are lucky enough to have one in your district, but if she's busy or whatever, just let us know and we can do that part of it.